So I was looking a while back and I found this study. It talked about the financial well-being of people in America. That was pretty topical for what we're talking about here. We're all looking at our finances. What this study found is that people are kind of broken down to four basic categories. At the bottom, we've got about 27% of the population needs some kind of financial support. Maybe it's church support, maybe it's government support, help from family and friends. About 60% of the population, this is the bigger portion, right? They're just getting by. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They're doing okay, but they don't have any great savings. Then we get to about 10% of the population. These people are financially independent. They don't necessarily worry about what a gallon of gas costs, what a gallon of milk costs. They're doing okay. They've got money in the bank, they've got a nice car, they've got a home. We get to the top 3%. These are the very wealthy people. They truly don't worry about what anything costs. They have jets, they've got millions of dollars in the bank. These are the Bill Gates, the Donald Trumps of the world. What they found after they studied is the things that were separating these people fell into one basic category. At the very bottom, the people who were not getting by didn't have any goals. They didn't have any drive in their life. The 60% who were just getting by, they started to have some goals. They had a way to anticipate what they were going to do in the future. The 10% were financially independent, had clear and specific goals. They understood where they were going. The only thing that separated the top 3% from the 10% was that they were writing down their goals. They had very clear, specific, and written goals. So one of the things that I focus on at Terrace Leadership Development is we help people find ways to change their thinking and behaviors to help them achieve their goals. We look at things like effectiveness versus activity, productivity versus production, and leadership versus management. And we help people accomplish these changes in their lives by showing them ways to consistently achieve them. So I'd like to share a little bit about that with you today. You've all got a sheet in front of you that I've given you. We've heard some discussions already this morning from Ginny, Bev, and Stephanie about some different financial topics. So I think we all have a few ideas about maybe some goals that we're starting to formulate. I'd like you all to look at the very top of the sheet. The first section there talks about what is the goal we want to look at. Okay? If everybody wants to take a second and think about their goal, maybe start writing something down. When we look at our goals, we want our goals to be, we use the acronym SMART. We want smart goals, right? We don't want dumb goals. We want our goals to be specific. We want them to answer questions like who and what. Our goals should always be about us, but sometimes they include other people. Where is this goal going to be accomplished and when? We have to identify some of these questions. If we don't have an idea about how to answer these questions, I would suggest to you that your goal is not clearly defined. This is one of the main reasons why people don't achieve their goals. Anybody set New Year's resolutions, and then by February 1st, you're ashamed that you didn't accomplish your New Year's resolution? Yeah, most of us are like that. One of the main reasons is when we have grand ideas. We've set an idea about this weight loss or financial goals, but we haven't created a plan for how to accomplish this goal. We haven't set a specific goal. So I think about when people tell me they want to get better at something. I had a friend who told me his goal was to be a better golfer. Sounds like a good goal, right? Everybody wants to be a better something. But what's wrong with that goal? If we look, it's not very specific. What does better mean? Well, it means different things to everybody. For me, being a better golfer would be sitting in that clubhouse having a drink, watching it on TV. I don't enjoy golf, but some people do, and that's okay. The idea is that his goal wasn't clear to him about what he was actually trying to accomplish. When we sat down and talked about it, the clear and specific goal for him was he wanted to reduce his PAR, is that the right term? I don't know Handicap, thank you, by 1 stroke in 2 months. Sounds like a fairly achievable goal. I don't know much about golf, so I couldn't tell you how he was going to accomplish that. But what he did is he broke that goal down into now a more specific. We had something that we could look at and see. It identified some of these topics, the who, the what was he going to do, how was he going to do it. We talked about getting a coach. Then we had to look at, is the goal measurable? Is it something we can track? Is it something we can see? How many, how much? He had identified after the discussion he was going to reduce that strokes by 1. That was his goal. We could identify that. We could track his progress. If we don't have something that's measurable for our goals, folks, how do we know when we've accomplished it? Anybody ever talk to one of their children and they said, Mom, I accomplished my goal. And they moved the target in front of the arrow that they just shot, claiming that they had found the target, right? If we don't set the target first and know where we're shooting, then we're just going wherever the wind blows us. The other thing that we have to make sure that we pay attention to with our goal setting is the goal attainable? Is it something we can even achieve? Is it possible for you to accomplish? You can set lots of goals, but if we can't physically attain that goal, what's the point? Is the goal realistic? Perhaps we can attain it, but is it realistic? Do I have the time, the money, the energy to put into this goal to accomplish it? Are you willing and able to work on that goal? It's fine and well to say, I want to lose 30 pounds, but honestly, I don't want to put in that kind of time. It's a lot of effort. Maybe that's not a realistic goal for me. The final part of that is it tangible? Is it something we can track? Is it something that we can look at? There's nothing wrong with intangible goals. That first goal he had suggested is he wanted to get better at golf. Intangible goals are a great start. They're usually dreams, is what we call those. How do we create the more tangible, the trackable piece to that goal? Helps us stay on target. The second reason why people tend to fail to achieve their goals is they don't plan appropriately. They don't put a plan in place about how they're going to achieve that goal. When we talked to the golfer about what he wanted to accomplish, he'd set that goal. He finally came up with a specific goal we could look at. Now it's time to put a plan in place about what we're going to do to achieve that goal. I like to use the analogy, if you want to buy a car, do you just start walking down the street looking for cars? Yeah. Some people probably do, right? But most of us don't. No, we research, we look for the options that we want. We go out and find what budget we can afford for a vehicle, and then we find the dealership that might have that vehicle, or private seller. This is how we plan for things. First thing that you'll see from your sheets is the goal importance. This is a pretty important piece that we like to make sure people look at. Why is the goal important to you? If we haven't identified a deep-seated reason why we want to accomplish this goal, we're not likely to put the energy into that goal. This is one of the main reasons why leader-provided goals for their employees fail. The employees fail to achieve them, because it's not the employee's goal, it's the leader's goal. You see this with children too, right? When parents tell their child, here's your goal, here's what you're going to accomplish, they always fight back, right? So how do we identify some of the benefits or losses that we want to avoid? Losses to avoid is another good reason to look at a goal. I often will look at, say, the weight loss is a really easy one to look at. You may not see a great positive for losing that weight. There may be great things to avoid by losing the weight. Healthcare bills, new clothing every 6 months, right? All of these types of things. After we have decided why this goal is important to us, we want to look at some of the obstacles that we're going to come across as we're achieving this goal. We want to try and think about some of the things that are going to happen, some of the struggles that you might find. The point of this is that we want to find ways to work beyond that. We want to have a plan in place for how we're going to move beyond those struggles when they occur so that we're not stopped in the moment. These could be things like budget or time. Other people can often be a problem. Procrastination. Anybody else? Yeah, a couple of people. So if we identify these things as reasons that we might struggle, we can plan for them. We can find ways to move beyond them. On the opposite side of that section in your sheets, you'll see the plan for dealing with those. I always like to ask people to find 2 ways to deal with each potential struggle that they find. The point here isn't so much that we find every possible struggle that we're going to come across, but that we're thinking about how we're going to continue along our path. We've decided this is a positive, and that we're not going to allow these struggles to derail us. Finally, we have some action steps. On the back of your sheets, you'll start to see a list of steps that you can take. What I ask people to do is just start free-forming, coming up with different things they can think of that they'll need to do to start achieving this goal. There's a reason why there are no numbers in the column right next to it, because oftentimes we have to reorder that. We're just thinking out loud, right? We're just coming up with steps along the way. Maybe step 3 has to come before step 4 or 2. Step 3 always comes before step 4 for those who are not paying attention. We look to find daily and weekly lists that we can put together to help us track and monitor our progress. If we're not patting ourselves on the back for the small things, it's much more likely that we're going to drop this goal along the way. We're going to find a struggle, and we're going to not have that internal motivation that we found to keep the progress moving forward. So continue breaking it down into steps. One of the things that I often find is the goal I've created sometimes needs to be broken down into multiple goals. As I start creating my steps, I realize there's a couple of things in here that are pretty big in and of themselves. No problem. Create another goal. Create another situation to track. Affirmations. Lots of people struggle with affirmations. I think it's silly. I'm going to look in the mirror and tell myself I'm a good person. That I'm going to be a cheerleader for myself. And yep, you absolutely are. Affirmations isn't for anyone else, it's for ourselves. Again, it helps create that positive feeling, that enthusiasm. It's a way to keep you progressing towards that goal. I've got little sticky notes sometimes on my bathroom mirror. I don't have to say it out loud, I just read it, it's there. I see it every time I go to the bathroom, every time I get ready in the morning. It continues to remind me of issues in my life that I want to be working on. Constant reminders help us do this. There are apps that can do this. We've seen Noom is a good one for weight loss. There are financial apps that help you, they remind you daily. Have you saved for your goal? Are you working on that today? There's psychology behind this. It keeps us on track. When you're creating an affirmation, always make sure it's about you. It's in the first person. I statements. I am going to do, I will be. Not about somebody else. If your affirmation is about somebody else, it's not an affirmation, it's a demand. Say it out loud. Shout it to the rooftops. It helps you internalize it. It's interesting to me, every time I read something on a paper, if I read it out loud, I gain something different from that. There's a reason that we hear things differently than we read them, than we internalize them. While you're saying it out loud, visualize yourself achieving that goal that you're talking about. The visualization is the next step. It helps you, again, continue along that path. You're seeing what you want to achieve. Some people create a visualization board. They'll hang the skinny jeans in the closet. They'll put the new house that they're looking to buy. They'll put their retirement fund statement on the wall. Whatever's going to keep you motivated to continue pressing forward, those are the things that you want to have in your visualization. Writing your goals crystallizes your thinking. When we write things down, we're using a separate part of our brain. Psychology tells us that simply thinking them doesn't create the internal motivation. Once we write them down, we've engaged not just our thought process, we've now touched something. We've got tactile response. Also, having the written goals is a way of measuring your progress. It allows us to not cheat ourselves. Anybody thought of a goal and then 6 months later when they didn't achieve it, they don't want to admit to that was their goal? Yeah, I'm one of those. So writing the goals keeps me on track. It helps me stay focused and show the progress that we're making towards that goal. Definite plans produce definite results. If we've thought this through, if we've planned for what our goal is, we have a way of moving ourselves forward. I'd like everyone to remember that we're learning a lot of new things here today. You're going to hear a lot of speakers. But I want you all to remember that we should all be people of action and not just knowledge. Do something with the knowledge that you're getting here today, whether it's with the people that are speaking here today or someone else that you know in your lives. Take action to move yourself forward today. Thank you.